I want to thank each and every one of you who picked up the Gohan Then, Now, and Forever t-shirt or merch line. This has been the most successful merch line I've put out in quite some time. Right now, it's still available. Then, Now, and Forever Beast Mode Classic t-shirt in various colors and sizes. Click the link in the description down below and get yours. And once again, I really appreciate everyone who's got one. They're still up if you haven't gotten one, and if you already got one, get another one for a friend or fellow Dragon Ball fan. And now, let's get to the video. Dragon Ball Super, the manga, is on hiatus for right now. We're not going to get a new chapter in September or in October, but the question we've all been hearing is, what's next? What is the next story arc? What are they going to do? On this edition of the Talk Dragon Ball Resurrection podcast, we're going to be talking all about that and getting everybody's thoughts on what they might do next. So let me go ahead and introduce the panel today. First, over here, diagonal to me, is Laser Kid. He's been here before. Say
Hello.
hi.
Hi.
Are you going to plug your Toonami thing?
The Toonami Faithful podcast? Sure. It's a fun place. We're the number one Toonami podcast out there.
The number one Toonami podcast. And then up here we have Heesh, aka Star Blast Studios, one of the editors of the Geekdom 101 channel. He's the guy who edited that Gohan Kills the Cell Juniors video that everybody loves and thought was funny. So that's who you have to thank right there for coming up with some of those edits. This guy right here.
I was only following your instructions, man. You actually left instructions in the bit of audio to leave like a montage of stuff in there. So that was actually all you.
No, it was not all me, bro. You're being way too humble. I did give instructions, but you came up with shit that I would have never come up with. And we'll do more of those. And then over here we have famed Toku YouTuber Deoxy. What's going on?
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, bro. Everybody check out Deoxy's channel. I'll leave a link to all that stuff down in the description. So we're talking about the next arc of Super. Now, the last arc of Super ended with Black Frieza showing up, revealing he has a new form, one-shotting Goku and Vegeta, and then Whis grabs them, and they leave, and they're like, oh, who's the strongest? And Whis is like, and maybe it's not Black Frieza. So they're hinting it could be somebody else. And I've had people assume it's going to be Gohan from Superhero or something else. Now, the first topic I want to get into is that what the next arc is going to truly be about? Are we going to have a Black Frieza arc and reveal who this mysterious strongest in the universe is, or is there something else being planned? And if so, what do you think it is? Let me start with Deoxy, bro. What do you think's going on after that surprising revelation?
Yeah, the revelation. Well, I think the next arc is definitely going to be something focused around Black Frieza. But there's one thing that I really hope we get an answer to, and it's the Room of Spirit and Time that Frieza found somewhere out in the galaxy. Because that's something that's got my attention. Like, is that a part of the universe? Is that at the end of the universe? I would like to find out where this place is. And is Frieza going to go back there during, like, this arc coming up and start training? Because I feel like Frieza is going to be the next enemy of the upcoming arc. But there's also going to have stuff building up towards the fight with Frieza or Black Frieza.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that, and I agree. I want to see where that came from. But also, if I'm being honest, part of me thinks that the next arc is not going to have anything to do with Black Frieza. And here's why I'm saying that. Because I like the idea of Frieza being in the shadows and him being built up to be later villain. Because I have a feeling, because they always do things that are very unexpected. I've noticed that when you think this is coming, they do something else. So I feel like there's a possibility it won't be him yet. They're going to save that for later. I could be wrong, of course, because it might take time for the good guys to catch up to him. So, but again, who knows? I mean, that's why we're talking about this. So, Laser, what do you think?
I tend to agree with you. I think we're going to get a different arc, although I think we're going to see Black Frieza in the next arc. I think we're going to see things he's doing, things he's setting up, plans that he's hatching. Meanwhile, our heroes are doing various whatever the heck it is. Maybe this will be the time for the Planet Sadal arc. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
But it could be it could be really anything. But I don't think you hit Frieza immediately. I think you build that suspension of just, oh god, what's gonna happen? Of just the pathos of, oh man, this shoe is gonna fall. When is it gonna fall? How is it gonna fall? I think it's gonna slowly build that up and then eventually drop it off when we least expect it.
I also think there's a possibility of, and again, this is a maybe, of Frieza overthrowing or trying to overthrow the God hierarchy, which was teased
Yeah.
in the Dragon Ball Super anime. Heesh, what do you think?
I feel like with Frieza's plans, he's not going to be wanting to stay like in the in one universe. With the Tournament of Power, Goku inadvertently showed Frieza that there's multiple universes out there, and I don't see a case where Frieza wouldn't be using this stuff to his advantage, because one of the big things in the Granola arc was the fact that, you know, intelligence was, whoever has the most intelligence is the ones who rules the universe, which was the thing that you and Jordan were talking about in a video that's yet to come out. That
Or maybe it is out already. Who knows?
Maybe it is out already.
We tape things out of order sometimes, so I don't know if it's out yet. But if it is, I'll leave a link to it or put it in the cards.
Yeah, but like, it's to Frieza, so he'd be like I said, he'd be using his intelligence. I feel like it would be kind of like a right time for them to kind of be like, you know, using the planet Sadala thing. It would kind of be an understanding for where having Vegeta, so taking everything from like the arcs that was previous. So they're having Vegeta now also learned about the Saiyan Pride. I can see it a case where it would kind of lead him to planet Sadala, and Frieza with his separate ambitions, him kind of wanting to, you know, expand his empire into, like, you know, other universes and gain intellect from other areas, because like he could be trying to overthrow the God hierarchy. I can kind of see a case where if Vegeta's like is on planet Sadala, you might end up having another case where him and Frieza would end up clashing somewhere in Universe 6.
So Sadala, yeah, that's something that I have thought about a lot. I mean, everybody has since Super ended. Is when are we going to go there? And then there's also the factor of Frost in Universe 6, Frieza's counterpart. Is that a character that could end up getting the new transformations? The thing is, here's kind of what's in my head. Black Frieza, with the 10 years of training, I don't know how Goku and Vegeta and everybody else is going to be able to overthrow him without putting in similar work, if not more. But one of the things that's been frustrating me, and I discussed this in the roundtable I did with Emish, Unreal Ant Gaming, and Mr. Senpai, we talked about how one of the issues that Dragon Ball is running into is this transformation fatigue that's been around for a while. And the way they're playing with Ultra Instinct, you know, there's now true Ultra Instinct, which is Goku learning how to use his emotions with UI almost in base. But then where do we go? Like, where do we go after this? Like, I just feel like they're going to get more new forms and catch up to Frieza that way. And to be honest, I feel like that's boring at this point. Like, it's getting very repetitive. So what would you do with Goku and Vegeta in the next arc? And what do you think they're going to do? I'm going to start this time with Laser.
What do I think they're gonna do? We're definitely getting more forms.
I know.
We're gonna find another
know.
color. There will be another color. God, what have we not even done yet? I don't even know. But they'll find another color or another excuse for a power up or combined power ups if we're lucky, where they'll do like, you know, oh, this is UI and blue. Ooh, some kind of weird thing. That's what I think they do. But what I would like to see them do is, instead of having a you know, another Super Saiyan form, maybe they need to work on their base cells more so that their powered up forms mean more also. And that could be something that Whis could teach them and be like, you know, you're relying on these forms and they're important, they're powerful, but they can only do so much based on where you're starting. You need to work on what you are to start with. I think that would be a really cool message and a cool story beat that they could go with.
I like where they were going with Moro, how they were learning different techniques. I like that a lot. I wish they would go back to that. So, Heesh, what do you think?
Well, honestly, it was just kind of like what Laser was saying. It's just like the only other solution that I can see where the characters would, you know, progress in order to gain power to face off against Black Frieza would be to utilize techniques. Like maybe one thing that they can do, if you want to go more specific into it, maybe you make it to where only specific techniques are possible when you're utilizing a specific transformation. Like, you know how for example, like Goku only ever did the Dragon Fist. If you want to make the Dragon Fist like part of the continuity, like that would be like a cool thing where he just like you make it to where you actually see Goku kind of using it, and like there's different ways that they're able to like kind of actually fight or like getting like an edge by using these so and so techniques. I feel like there's a lot of potential there if you specifically match it to the transformations.
You mean like, for example, the Susanoo Goku with the white hair, silver haired UI, right? Like that kind of shit.
Yeah, something like something like that.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like, and I said this before, it's gonna bother me, and maybe it shouldn't. We'll see how it plays out. But I feel like with all the training that Frieza did, in my opinion, if he goes down, it has to be because of Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Broly, and Piccolo all working together. That's the way it has to be, because they have the fact that he was able to one-shot True UI Goku and Ultra Ego, that's after they've been healed up by Monaito. I don't think people really understand how insane that is, because we've never seen Goku ever get one-shotted in any version of Ultra Instinct, and we've never seen Vegeta get one-shotted in Ultra Ego, and Frieza did that. I think the power scale is getting ridiculous at this point. Now, I'm not saying that's going to suck necessarily, but it's so far out of reach that in order for other characters to catch up, they're going to have to either do what Frieza did and train, for a long time, years, or they're going to have to come up with new forms that don't really have any tease for it, like Gohan's form, Gohan Beast. There was nothing to that. There was no build up to it. It was something they did for fan service, and Dragon Ball's kind of going in that direction, and I don't like it. I mean, I really don't like that. I think that the writing needs to be a little bit smarter. I think most of the fandom now is older, because a lot of the fans now, both here and in Japan, are usually in their 20s and 30s. They've seen the original Dragon Ball series, they're, and Kai and Z and all that, and they want more sophisticated writing. I'm not saying it has to be like Breaking Bad. It can still be silly and wacky and fun, but I want them to do something different. And the one thing about Dragon Ball, if you go back and you read Dragon Ball start to finish, the manga, the original, every arc is different. You have the Pilaf arc, which is like a mix of comedy action. Red Ribbon was the army. Piccolo Daimao was like the demons. You have the tournaments going on. Then you have the aliens coming to Earth, the alien invasion, the Saiyan arc. Then they go to Planet Namek, the Frieza arc. They're exploring. Then you have they're back to Earth for the Red Ribbon Revenge, which is the Cell Saga and the buildup of Gohan. And then in the Buu arc, you have like magic and genies and shit like that. Like, I like that every arc introduced something new. With Super, it's becoming more difficult for them to do that because we've seen almost everything already from the series. So, Deoxy, man, I rambled a bit. What do you think about Black Frieza? Well, not Black Frieza, what Goku and Vegeta and the others are going to do here to catch up to him, if they even can. I'm just kind of stumped on the direction they're going.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they can keep training and go to the room in Spirit of Time and maybe do 10 years as well, but they're probably they can either get a new form or master, which is something we got with Ultra Instinct, master it to the best of it can, but there's always going to be something else, like true Ultra Ego or even truer Ultra Instinct. You can only go so far with it, and they'll probably make another form for that form and just add on to it. So
Yeah.
I think they have to reach the full potential of the forms we got last arc and then just leave it at that.
But the problem is that Goku's already hit that full potential like 3 times. Like they've and literally Toyotaro said it. Literally Toyotaro said, we made Goku the perfect fighter and we had to figure out how to scale him back. So now what they're doing is, he's got true UI, so we're going to have Frieza show up, 10 years of training with his, body of his ability to have, like, with the potential he's got, and then go and just one-shot them. It's getting to the point now where they're doing a lot of ass pulls, and I'm not trying to be a hater, because I'm not. It's getting really annoying, dude. It's constant. Like, things don't get built up right, and obviously you can tell that they don't have a plan. Like, and that's okay, because Toriyama didn't have a plan when he wrote the original story. But like, every arc tends to like be written when it's written, as opposed to like having this grand plan for the future, which is why I'm hoping that Black Frieza, they hold off on that until later. So let me ask you a question then, everyone. I'm going to start with Laser Kid this time. We're going different order here. So what else could they do besides Black Frieza? Like what Sadala was talked about. What else could they do for the next arc that you think would be interesting? Maybe something they've never done before, or something they've done but not really expanded on. Like where do you think they can go?
There's a whole world of, the angels and Zeno the Omni King and other universes. We've seen that with the 2 tournaments, but we haven't really explored. You don't have to go to Sadala in Universe 6. You don't even have to go to Universe 6. It could be some other universe.
Right.
There's so many places, so many characters that have been lightly touched on that you could pull from and do anything you want with, and that's the beauty of it. And you could tie in things from the main the Universe 7 stuff as well. We did that in Moro with Majin Buu, and oh hey look, we have another Kai, which was great. I loved that. That was wonderful, and I'd love to see other callbacks like that. Maybe we can pull in some stuff for maybe there's another universe version of Mr. Satan who's actually really cool, really powerful.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just feel like I don't want the one thing I don't want is I don't want them to keep going back to the past. The Bardock stuff in the Granola arc really annoyed me. I felt like they got to stop with the damn going back and we're gonna reboot this character. Like they could reboot stuff like Cooler and whatnot, but like to go back and change the lore of the original series, I'm kind of tired of that. Like,
I'm with you there.
Yeah, we need new lore. Huh?
What I mean is like add lore to hold things,
Add
not
lore.
just.
Yes, I agree with you. What were you saying, Deoxy?
I was using Majin Buu to compare. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Right. Deoxy, what were you saying?
No, it's what you guys were saying. Like Toyotaro, he leans into the past Dragon Ball stuff. Like he does new stuff, like Moro and stuff like that in Granola.
And Ultra Ego.
An Ultra Ego, and then he adds older stuff, which usually takes center stage because the Bardock stuff, although it was surprising to see it, it became like the secondary focus, or not the secondary focus. It became one of the other big impacts of the Granola arc, and I feel like Toyotaro needs to do something big or original for the next arc and not lead on to like something from 20, 30 years ago.
And also the whole Frieza has a new form thing. It's just like it's fun to make videos on it, but come on. Heesh, you're last, bro. What do you think?
Honestly, if you're gonna pull from like any other like old Dragon Ball lore, I mean, I know we've seen this a lot with the games, but I'd honestly legit like to see them do something with the Demon Realm, because that right there is like a whole pool of potential of stuff that I think would be really good for the series.
Dude, and I said this a gazillion times on this channel. Dragon Ball Heroes has some of the coolest concepts ever, and the execution is just bad. Dragon Ball Super tends to be written very simplistically and lazy. We're still in just Universe 7 and all this stuff that is not that interesting. Heroes has these awesome ideas with like multi-realm tournaments and Supreme Kais of Time and all this stuff that I think is like Heroes has some of the best lore ever, and we almost never see that in the main story, and it is frustrating because Heroes the anime is just gonna promote a game. We never see the good shit. But Heesh, I was going to ask you about the Demon Realm then. I mean, I agree. I would like to see more of that. And I still feel like the one card they haven't played yet is the Makaio Shin. Toriyama mentioned them in one interview, the evil Kaioshin. They're not gods of destruction. They're their own thing. Toriyama mentioned them once, years ago, and we never have seen them again. Maybe he forgot that he said that, but having an evil group of gods from the demon realm or whatever, and have some kind of demonic invasion like Mecha Kabuta and all that stuff that we saw in Heroes, would be totally fantastic. I'd be down for that. But they never do it.
And the thing is that the way that the Demon Realm was introduced, what did they say? They said it was like the other half of the universe or something like that was the Demon
bottom
Realm. And
half.
that's just for Universe 7. like think about like how much other stuff that they can pull into if they were to get it into it from other universes. Like what's the universe 6 demons like?
If there
What's
even
the
is
ones from
one.
universe 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, there's just so like again, like there's just so much untapped potential here. Like there's a lot that they left themselves for them to kind of just like make a whole new arc of. I would honestly like I mean, I think that being able to see like the Demon King of the the universe of like Universe 6 could be something cool. I mean, we know it has to exist there because it's Universe 6 mirrors
The
Universe 7,
mirror, yeah.
or yeah, or like or some or maybe like obviously like since there's a lot of mirrors, like something from like the King of Planet Sadala, like there's a lot that is just there.
No, there's a
So
lot.
yeah.
No, I agree, and there's a lot. Like I've been waiting for years, almost. Let me think. It's almost been 10 years because we're in 2022, and Beerus Battle of Gods was 2013. We haven't seen Beerus get serious. We haven't seen a threat that can threaten all the universes. Like, why isn't there a villain who literally goes from universe to universe, taking it over, conquering it? Maybe Frieza could be that person, but there's a lot of potential there. Like, involve the gods. If you're gonna have the gods always around, which I'm not a big fan of doing unless you do something like creative with them, to where there's actually a problem where the gods have to get involved with the mortals to stop some kind of big enemy. We haven't seen that yet, and I don't know if they're holding off on that for later. I don't know if they're just letting this go. Dragon Ball's in a really weird state right now. It's in a really weird state because it feels like it feels. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll ask y'all if you agree. It feels like we're just kind of in a hamster wheel, and we're not going anywhere interesting anymore. We're just rehashing stuff, more Frieza. Like, it just doesn't seem it seems very directionless right now. Superhero was done to bring Gohan and Piccolo back to prominence and have them compete with Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. But what are you going to do with them? What are they building up to? Are we going to see Gohan's form used in an actual fight where he's not just doing 3 hits? Like, there's a lot of things that they're doing. So I'm going to ask y'all, do you get the same feeling? If you don't, it's cool. I want to know what you get. Heesh, I'll start with you this time. Where it just feels like we're not really progressing the story. We're building up to something that I don't even think they know it's coming.
Yeah, it's like I feel like they're leaving themselves like a lot of like things that they can just pull from, because that's like a thing that Toriyama did a lot of the times, that he would just kind of leave things specifically ambiguous to where he can kind of like later pull back and use that for a story later to try to make something more natural. I feel like that's kind of where they're trying to go, because by emulating Toriyama's plan, they feel like that's going to be how they do stuff with Dragon Ball. But at the same time, it's like, and I know it's not we're specifically talking about the manga here, but with what we've like also been hearing about with the web anime, it seems like they genuinely have like lots of content that they'd want to be pulling from or kind of be making, because why make something like that if you're not going to use that to build up to something later?
And we don't even know what the web anime is about. Like, I don't have a clue how that's gonna run. I don't know. I mean, there's just that's in pre-production right now. So Deoxy, man, do you get the feeling that they're building up to something, but they don't know how to get there? It's
Yeah.
We're in a weird state right now, man. Like, everything felt like it had a direction before, but now I'm not so sure.
Like, we need to get past that. What was it? Not Overworld tournament.
The end of Z.
End of Z tournament. Yeah, past
Yeah,
that.
yeah, of course.
And I think they don't know how to get there, or they trying to figure out what they can do to get there, or they just want to stick it in the current timeline.
Yeah, because we are literally, if you count Superhero, under a year away from this the end of Z. So like, we're so close, and maybe they're afraid if they go past the end of Z, they're going to alienate GT fans, which I don't think they will. I think GT fans will understand what they're doing. I don't know. Laser, what do you think?
I think it really is hard to say where Dragon Ball wants to go. I feel like it felt like it had a lot more direction when it was in the Moro arc. I think that's a pretty common sentiment, where it felt like it was going places and doing some interesting things. And then, like you said earlier, they put Goku on a pedestal on a peak perfect fighter. Well, what do you do after that?
They said
It was a
they
great
came up with
ride.
some BS, bro. There's levels to UI. Oh, great. You
Oh
know?
yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it was a great arc. It was fun to see. But now that you've done that, and they've done stuff with it, but I think they put themselves into a corner between that and between, like you said, we're getting way too close to that end of Z period, and I don't think it's so much that they're worried about GT because honestly, I think a lot of people think of GT as its own continuity.
Yes, then they
That it
should.
and they
Well, we
should, and
know.
go ahead.
Well, we know they didn't specifically forget the end of Z. I mean, obviously, you had Oob show up at the very end of the moral arc. I
Right.
feel like every single decision that they've made, I feel like they've had to at least had like some sort of idea as to how this will like maybe get resolved before the end of Z takes place.
Yeah.
Right, right. No, it's not that they've forgotten it. I don't think they either don't know or they're taking a very slow route as to how to get past it. Though I don't know that they know what to do once they get past it.
I also wonder if they even want to get past it. What if Shueisha or Toriyama said you can't go past it? We're like
Well,
we talked
it'd
about.
be
We're close now. We're too close.
it'd be a whole new status quo. You have really old Goku training Oob. You've got Goten and Trunks are adults. It changes the status quo again, and I don't think they like doing that with Dragon Ball Super. They like to have that post Majin Buu. Everyone is that. I was shocked and happy when Trunks and Goten and Superhero were a little bit bigger. That was nice. I'm happy about that, but they took that long to do that. I think they're uncomfortable changing the status quo from where it's been, and they need to be a little bit braver about that to really stop
Yep.
that hamster wheel.
I'm glad you said that because I've been saying that too. They need to take some more risks, is what it is. Really do something risky. What were you gonna say, Deoxy?
Do you think Shueisha or Toriyama has a do's and don'ts for Toyotaro to do with the manga, and one of them being is he can't go past the Buu saga?
I think there's definitely do's and don'ts, but I don't know if that's one of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what I mean is, I know that he's not allowed to, like, kill off Goku and Vegeta permanently because that wouldn't make sense. Everybody who's alive at the end of the series has to stay alive. But you're right. I don't know if he has any other do's and don'ts. It just, part of me feels like, Super's supposed to be the 10 years that were supposed to be peaceful. Now we know for a fact they weren't even close to being peaceful with Broly and Cell Max and shit. And now it's like, okay, fine, we're gonna fill that time gap in. That's cool. But like we talked about, they're so close. It's almost like I feel like Superhero. This guy, I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong. I feel like Superhero was like the last story before the end of Z, and whenever this gets picked up next, it'll be after. Like I really hope I'm right about that because that will at least be interesting. Going past the end of Z is something that needs to happen because then you have Oob on the team, like we talked about, and then you have maybe they can go after Black Frieza after that. There's a lot of potential there. It's just will they get there? So
Well, it also adds stakes back into it because we
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe somebody could die now.
with the Dragon Balls get destroyed, there's a lot of things they could do to actually keep us entertained. The original series, I think, doesn't get enough credit for that because it's so old and everybody's seen it and they know what happens. But when that thing was first running, when you didn't know anything, it definitely, obviously Dragon Ball X to have happy endings, of course. Trunks arc wasn't that, but like it also feels like, we still don't know what's going to happen. Whereas now we kind of know that the people at the end of Z aren't going to die. So yeah, stakes are important. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave links to everyone's channels or the Toonami Faithful thing down in the description. Thanks again for stopping by. Let us know in the comments what you think about the next arc of Super. We'll see you next time.